Welcome back to Nerds R Us, the show where we talk about anything and everything nerdy. I'm joined by my sexy co-host, Mr. Ike Siemens.
What up, fam?
And today we got a special guest in the house, Mr. Tyler Hosler, T-Hoss, T-Squared. Call him what you like.
What up, family?
Alright, guys, today we're talking horror movies. You guys like horror movies?
Yeah, gotta love horror movies.
Alright, horror movie that you first watched as a kid that you remember, like, legitimately scaring the fuck out of you.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, really?
Mine isn't so much of a horror movie. Twister.
Dude, Twister actually scared the fuck out of me. And we live in Utah where there's, like, no tornadoes, but I was hella creeping out my window, like, Mom, do we have a basement? She's like, we live in an apartment, dumbass.
Dude, I couldn't even hear wind chimes for months without fucking looking around, just getting scared off my ass.
Dude, even though it's also not a horror movie, what kind of freaked me out was Signs as a kid.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
I don't know why, but there was a part where, like, the alien, like, reaches his hand under a door and he has to hit it with the knife. That scared the fuck out of me, dude. I was hella rolling towels and pinning them underneath the door, which wouldn't do anything, but it seemed safe in my head.
Godzilla was another one, too.
Godzilla, yeah, that was pretty, it didn't really scare me. It's just super entertaining to see.
Gave me like nightmares and shit.
Gave me nightmares.
Yeah, dude. Big ass dragons and shit.
Okay, what are some of your not favorite horror movies? Movies that you saw where you're like, well, that was a waste of fucking $8 at the movies.
I didn't see it in movie theaters, but when it came out on Netflix, The Babadook. God, dude.
Yeah, that was shit.
That pissed me the fuck off.
I've never seen that one. I just remember it accidentally got put under LGBT category on Netflix for like a week.
I remember that too.
And I was like, I bet it is pretty gay. I'm not going to watch that.
Oh, God. The ending, like, it was a decent movie up until the ending, and the ending was just garbage. Like, okay, well, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, but the ending, they end up keeping the monster, in the fucking basement and feeding it. I was like, well, okay, like, that's what you do with a fucking monster that's, like, possessing your child and shit. Like, you know, let's just lock it in the basement and feed it. That's a pretty good plan.
Oh, shit. Alright, what is it that you like to see in horror movies versus what you don't like to see? Like, when there's a horror movie that comes out and it's all jump scares, I think it's shitty. It's not, like, entertaining. It doesn't get inside my head. I'm like, oh, you got me there. But I don't ever think about it ever again. And I never buy it or watch it again.
That was like movie Quarantine when that came out in like, what, 2004 or some shit, 2006? I remember seeing that in movie theaters and I was like, this is a decent movie, but it's not scary. It's just like, you know, entertaining. And then towards the end, it fucking like just jump scared the shit out of me. And I was like, oh my fucking God.
That was exactly what Paranormal Activity was for me.
That's all.
I was like, dude, it's so scary. I was just sitting in my chair like, any moment now, like, feel free to scare me.
Yeah.
Last 5 minutes, I was like, dude, I could have just went and took the biggest shit of my life and then came back and enjoyed the one scare of the movie.
Right?
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I personally prefer, like, psychological thrillers or, like demonic possession type movies.
See, things that get inside your head, which, I mean, say what you want, whether you believe in demonic, like, people coming into your body or not, that shit's still scary as fuck to think about.
No
if
shit.
you experience in that in real life, dude.
God, that'd be freaking weird, dude.
Just the thought of it is creepy. Also, dude, things that get me is things about, like serial killers. Like, really creepy serial killer movies. Because that shit that happens in real life, dude. There are real serial killers. Actually, in, like, 9th grade, they let us watch a movie about Ted Bundy in school. And they were like, no, it's cool. It's about, like, Utah history because he killed some people in Utah. And I was like, this is not okay.
This is a good learning experience, children.
And I thought it was fictional, too. And they're like, and they just killed him, like, 3 years ago. And I was like, oh, fuck me sideways, dude. I need to move now.
He's dead and I still don't want to live in this state.
Dude, anything to do with, like, psychological killers and things like that, that gets inside my head, man. Yeah. It's like it's always like people you never suspect or whatever. It's like, he's such a nice garbage man. He says hi to my kids every day. Those movies get me, dude, because then I'm watching my fucking garbage man like, yeah, you fucking you empty that garbage and get the fuck out of here.
He does some creepy shit. He's throwing bodies in there and stuff and packing them. And, like, no, but like that's why I like the Hannibal Lecter series.
Yeah, those ones are
Silence
good.
of the Lambs and all that. That was a really well put together.
Those ones are good because one, there was like not a ton of jump scares. There was like I think I could think of like one in that movie, but I was like, oh man, that's a real thing that people eat. People that even like crossed my path as a possibility until I watched Silence of the Lambs, and I was like, well, that shit happens. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
That
a
and
thing.
like it was super corny movie, but Black Xmas, where he's like
I saw
cutting his parents' skin with cookie cutters and baking cookies out of it and shit.
What?
Yeah,
What
dude,
the
like he
heck?
went and then he came back to the house and like murdered all these people that were in there. Like got out of prison with a candy cane and just like
I
stabbed
did
the guy
see
in the
that
eye
where
and
he like
bailed
sharpens
out.
the candy cane,
Yeah.
stabs the guy in the throat.
dude, I haven't seen that. I'm gonna
That
have to
movie
check
didn't
that out.
scare me, but I was like, oh, I should totally stab someone with a candy cane.
Yeah.
That was all I took from the movie. I was like, that's pretty cool. I could do that.
I still think like one of my favorite ones was The Exorcist. God, dude, like so I don't know if you guys have heard the lore around like what happened during the filming and post filming and stuff, but like there's some creepy ass stories that go along with the making of that movie, like the filming of it and all the efforts and stuff put into it, like where they recorded the scene with the bed like shaking violently and stuff. That was a hydraulic lift. Well, apparently they ran through a test of it or whatever, and the guy who did the maintenance on it had unplugged it just so they didn't like have any issues with it later on. But when they shot the scene for it, the guy was like, I didn't never plug that back in. So he went down after they shot the scene and checked underneath, and apparently it was never even plugged in. Like, they never plugged that shit back in, and I was like, that's fucking creepy. And then like a whole bunch of the cast died like in weird ways, like on set and stuff, like lights falling and killing people. So like I heard all this lore about it growing up, and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm watching that movie. Until I got really trashed one time with a bunch of friends, and we were chilling. We were like, what should we do? We're like bored. It was like snowing outside. It was around Christmas time in Maine, so there's like 14 feet of snow. So we were chilling. I was like, dude, I've always wanted to see this. We should check this out. Dude, I was frightened. I did not go to sleep that night at all. Like, oh yeah, well, yeah, it was weird. I couldn't hang for a minute, dude. I was like, oh my god, and I've rewatched it since, and it's still pretty terrifying. But dude, that messed me up for a couple of days.
How
I was
did
like,
the
wow.
process go on that since it was Christmas time? You were like, you want to watch Elf? No, dude, seen it. What about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? I'm just not in a holiday mood.
Yeah, no, I just, like, personally, okay, so it's like a personal preference thing. I don't really like the holidays or whatever because, you know, distance family and stuff like that, you know, I've all grown up, so I was like, yeah, whatever. And so we were going through, like, a whole bunch of lists, and we just couldn't find anything that everybody agreed on. So we were like, well, let's do horror movies. Everybody likes horror movies and stuff, and that's when I had the genius idea to watch The Exorcist because I had known they'd put it on recently, and I was like, yeah, go Netflix. And then, yeah, regrettable life choices were made that night.
Yeah, Netflix put some weird movies on there, man. They got that ability to be like, we're still technically the internet, so we can do whatever we want.
Right. Yeah,
There's some stuff on there. It's like that's just porn. You just put porn on there. They're like, no, bro, it won Sundance.
It's
so.
art.
All right, what are like themes that you're seeing in movies nowadays, especially like horror movies in general, that like you don't like, things like where the genre is progressing to that you're not a fan of? Like, I think they're overdoing like the creepy doll thing. There's just too many movies coming out where it's like dolls possessed. It's like, okay, I don't need a movie to know that dolls are creepy. We all knew that
Right.
beforehand.
It's always just been a weird situation, but it's still funny, like in the sense of like with our buddy Jamal. God.
Shout out to J-Mall.
Yeah, right. Poor guy.
Dude, scaring people with dolls is one of the best things, but they're not scary in movies at all. I watched
Yeah.
Annabelle. I didn't think it was scary at all. I was like, I don't know, you could just throw it out.
Yeah,
It's like all
burn that shit or something.
I think you can overpower it. I think. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Chucky scared the shit out of me as a kid, man.
Yeah, when he put the like condom of chlorine in the gas thing, it blew that guy's car up. That was fucking tight.
Wild.
Yeah, that wasn't creepy, but the part where he's like in the bed and he's like talking to the kid, and then the mom like opens up the door, and then he like switches back to like the doll voice. He's like, "Let's play." I was like, "Oh, how about we don't play?"
How about you get the fuck out of my house? God.
All right, what are some things, your movies that are coming out that have themes that you like, or remakes that are coming out that have themes that you like, or recent movies that you liked at least?
I like the space type themed movies because that's one of the few that you can like go off in a million different directions with. It's kind of like Aliens and stuff with signs and all that jazz. Underwater would be another good way to like get some good horror movies out there. They haven't really done anything minus like shark movies, and it's like, okay, well, that's been done for the last 20-something years.
How many tornadoes full of sharks can?
Yeah, now they're getting to tornado sharks. It's like, oh, okay, we got Avatar: The Last Airbender making a tornado of sharks over here or some shit.
Yeah, true story. What is it about space movies that like get to you, that kind of get under your skin and freak you out? Is it just like the idea of like it's fucking like endless vast of like
it's permanent silence? There's no sound in space.
Yeah, sound can't travel, so like there's nothing you can do if something attacks you.
Is there
Yeah,
a space
and if something
movie
was
what's a space movie in particular that you saw that were like, oh shit, space is scary as fuck?
I wouldn't say it's scary, but it was that new one on Netflix. I just watched it not too long ago.
Cloverfield Paradox?
Yeah, the Paradox.
Was that any good? Because I like the original one.
Dude, that was actually pretty solid. Like, the idea, but that's the thing, is like, that wasn't necessarily a horror movie, but it was like, one of those psychological thriller types, you know, where it's like, oh, the potential for like, they were doing like quantum physics type stuff, and I love math and science, so like when they started talking about like quantum physics and like they're going into like all these crazy, you know, wild, you know, far-fetched ideas about stuff, and then being trapped on a ship, because it's like, you're in BFE, it's going to take, you know, hours or days to get back to anywhere safe. It's like, you can't just, you know, run out of the spaceship. Like, oh, let me just jump in this escape pod that's going to burn up in the atmosphere, or let me just run into this escape pod that's just going to drift into Neverland of space where I'm going to die slowly anyways, or, you know, you're pretty much screwed. So it's like, you stay on the ship and probably die, or you leave the ship and probably die, and nobody ever knows what happened up there. It was like, what's that one? Something about like the Apollo 13 mission or whatever, where there was like the
Transformers. Is it that's what you're talking about?
No, there's an Apollo 13 mission movie or whatever. God, it was like 5 or 7 years.
I remember that because I remember seeing the poster in
bugs.
theaters, and then I never saw it again because it was holding in theaters for like a week.
It was like, it was really creepy though. Like it actually was like pretty efficiently messed up, and I was like, oh god, that's weird as hell. Like it definitely made you think about the potential of like extraterrestrial life and the potential for it.
What bugs me about horror movies, I would say, is it's just like every time I'm watching it, I'm just like, and these people are stupid. The logic just makes no sense. They're like, yeah, I know, like, I heard that some kids were killed out by this lake. We should totally go camping there.
Right.
That'll be a great idea. Or it's like, hey, all the kids are getting murdered on Elm Street. I just paid my mortgage. I have to stay. There's nothing I can do about it. Sorry, Timmy. I guess you're screwed. There's no logic. And I'm sorry, if I went camping and any of the girls I went camping with were wearing high heels, they deserve to die. Because guess what? You're going to trip.
I'd push that bitch over. I'd be like, sorry, you get eaten first.
That's the secret to survive in a horror movie, dude. You're not going to be the fastest. You're just going to be faster than the slowest person.
Yep. Well, that's the thing, too. Is it's like, even if it was just a bear or something, like, I'm going to climb that tree. I'm wearing something that's semi-proficient for, you know, outside activities. You're over there with, like, high heels or something. It's like,
dude, that's more like a concern of mine, going camping, not getting murdered, but getting eaten by a fucking bear, dude.
Dude,
See, that's more of a horror movie to me.
Right.
That shit actually happens, like, quite a bit more often than people think it does.
What was that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio with the bear attack?
The Revenant?
Dude,
Yeah.
that was such a good movie. That was, like, gripping. I think that was a better, like thriller type movie than most movies that have come out
Do you
recently.
think thriller and horror is the same thing?
I wouldn't say it's the same thing, but like thriller's definitely
It's like a subgenre of horror, kind of.
yeah, and they're more relatable. They've always been, they're based off of like realistic premises and premisi. I don't know how to say that honestly.
So they're remaking a lot of horror movies, or bringing out a lot of sequel to horror movies. What is like a good sequel, or definitely a good remake you saw? I mean, I thought it was fantastic. I loved the original. Shout out Tim Curry. But I also loved the new one as well. It was good for like the new generation. Still got to me and stuff. I mean, they did more jump scares than I probably would have liked, but I still thought overall I was like, respect.
When they went down to his lair and the kids were floating and he's doing the little dance thing or whatever, that was creepy as hell. And then like now it's all memed up and stuff, and it goes really well with anything, so it's pretty funny. But like I was like, wow, that's efficiently made, because I remember that being a super sketchy movie when I was a kid too. But I liked new Carrie too. The newer Carrie
I
was
thought
good.
that one was really good. Yeah, Chloe Grace Moretz. The bad guy in that movie that always gets me though is the mom, dude.
God, dude, that mom was a psycho. It was definitely helped progress the movie.
What about you, Tias?
Good question.
I mean, I know you don't get out of the house much because, you got that nurse that's got to take care of you and shit, but...
I know, on my life support and all
Yeah.
that. Silence of the Lambs was a good one. Or no, The Evil Dead. That's what I was thinking.
That one was pretty good. It was totally different than the original one, though.
Yeah.
They were, like, not even remotely the same movie.
Yeah, they switched that up a lot, but I still think it was like effectively made. There's the thorn scene, the thorn bush getting
yeah.
trapped.
Well, the one that got me
Wow, that
was when,
immense.
like, he went in the bathroom and that girl was, like, cutting off her face. I was like...
Oh,
And then I felt so bad for the guy with the glasses in that movie because he kept just trying to help, and then he kept getting progressively more fucked up. Tried to help that girl with her face, and then she like stabs him with the needle, and he had to like pull the needle out of his eye, and they closed up on it like as he was pulling it out, and I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I had an early meeting or something.
That and then the box cutter on the stairs with the tongue. Oh man, I was like, wow. I watched my buddy do that though, because he wanted to do the whole split fork tongue thing. He did it by himself. I was like, he's like, dude, you should help me with this. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then I went to help him, and I was like, there's blood everywhere. I can't. This is like the feeling of cutting tissue with something is weird, dude.
Was
like,
that the moment when your friendship sailed off into the ocean of abyss?
right? God, that was wild.
Alright, so we're at a point in our episode where we usually do our head-to-head, and we're going to do that as usual today, but today T-Haas is going to help out Ike Siemens with our head-to-head. T-Haas, you wear the head-to-head? You know what it's about?
no.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. We and Ike are going to pit two characters from horror movies in like a fight to the death, and you're going to be the person who decides who won. I'm going to bring Carrie to the table, classic Stephen King character, first book ever published, got that freaking telekinesis, move things with her mind, fucks up some bitches in high school, which we all have wanted to do. Ike, who are you bringing to the table?
I'm going to say Kevin from Split. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's more of
Yeah.
Now, give me some background on it.
So, if you haven't seen the movie Split, it's actually kind of a prelude to the movie Unbreakable, where you have like a guy that's invincible. He survives like a train crash and a whole bunch of stuff, and he always gets progressively stronger even though he's aging. And then he also has his inverse, a guy who has broken all his bones from birth,
Mr. Glass.
Mr. Glass. And so it's a prelude to that movie, and it's about how much the mind has power over the body and the surrounding effects of that. So it's kind of a mind over matter situation. But with that, he has split personality disorder. And so there's multiple people living in his body.
Like
Now-
27 or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's got a wild amount of different personalities.
Does he get like special powers from this? What does he bring into the fight? Because I mean, we'll kill the grandma just as quick as we'll kill the guy that's inside his head. So
right? So he has one of the guys in his head is super smart. He's a savant. He's well learned. He's self-taught. He's a genius. On top of that, he has this beast that lives in him. And when he goes into this beast mode, when he turns into the beast, he gets shot by a 12 gauge and survives. Doesn't even like slow him down. He's invincible. He's super powerful, like overpowered, strong. Like he bends steel bars and stuff.
when he goes into beast mode, does he start wearing like douchey tank tops?
No shirt.
Continuously skip leg day?
No, he skips all the gym days, but he's just ridiculously
But he's still a
strong.
badass. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Here's why I think Carrie's going to beat him. First of all, her telekinesis has got a wide range on it. So he's going to have to get in close no matter how fast he is. She could probably stop him. Granted, her telekinesis isn't at full power. She's not, she hasn't fully learned it. She just one day gets some blood dropped off on her and she's like, oh, some bitches are about to die. But if she did bend a car in the most recent movie, crush that shit, kill some bitches, stab somebody with a knife that she moved with her mind. Which, granted, if you're saying he's that strong, a knife ain't gonna do much. But I mean, maybe tossing him across the field a couple times might help.
True. So with the split personality disorder, I feel like he has more of a tactical advantage because when she rages out or whatever, she's just fucking up, whatever she's focusing on and stuff. And so if she was like going into fuck this shit mode or whatever, I mean, I feel like she would have multiple targets to like want to mess with. And he's super speed, he's got like super strength and stuff, stealthy as hell. He didn't make a single sound. He's crawling on the roofs and weird shit, like Spider-Maning that stuff. Super eerie. So I feel like for a tactical advantage, he could, probably take some abuse or
So
whatever.
you're saying you think you'd be able to catch her by surprise, is what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely be able to catch her by surprise.
Yeah. Sneak up on her and, hug
The
her
only
head
thing
off
is
or some shit.
her mom tried to catch her by surprise, and that didn't work out super well for the mom. I mean, she still stabbed her, but then she was like, yeah, but I mean, they're still going to kill you.
She was still trying to like give her the benefit of the doubt because she had that mother-daughter attachment
situation.
Yeah. So like I feel like he would take some abuse and then pretend dead like an animal, like a wild animal would. And then
Did you get
when
up
she
close? You think
moved
you
on,
did?
he'd sneak up behind her and rip her head off and with her spine out of her body and crazy weird shit.
Alright, well, I think we've both made our points here. We're going to let our special guest, Mr. T. Haas, make the final decision on who would win this fight. T. Haas, what's your decision?
I'm gonna have to go with Kevin. He was an animal when he turned beast mode. Like nothing stopped him, man. I
There
don't
it
think
is, and,
telekinesis could even.
He's made his decision, and it's clearly the reason he's never going to be on this podcast ever again. No, we definitely hope he comes back in the future. He's been a great guest, and we're super happy to have him. Super happy to make another podcast for you guys. So I just want to thank you for listening, and feel free to check us out in the future at our Facebook page, Nerds R Us. You can check us out on Twitter at our handle of @NerdsRS1. We have a website, nerdsrs.com, where you can download and listen to all of our episodes. All of our episodes are on YouTube as well, so feel free to check that out. And if you really want to support us and you're feeling a little generous, feel free to follow us on Patreon and donate some funds to the thing so we can get more guests on here and get more equipment and also get some great perks from doing it. Ike, you got anything else you want to throw out there before we head out?
Sorry about the slow resolve on the Instagram post after my crash, but I'm definitely jumping back on that full bore. So try to keep that as fresh and entertaining as possible. Share any kind of nerdy news that I find, and keep you guys updated and entertained.
Tiash, you got anything you want to say before we head out?
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Dude, well, thanks for coming. You guys have a great day. Stay nerdy, stay classy. Love you. That was weird.